You'll never find me on stage wooing everybody out there, but I can woo one person at a time.
And what you just heard is exactly why today's guest has built something real. Lily Duong is a business owner and a transaction coordinator who figured out early that success doesn't have to look like everyone else's. She's not chasing the spotlight. She's closing deals, building systems, and staying ahead of an industry that's AI, that's getting ready to totally reshape the entire world. If you're an entrepreneur who's ever wondered how you can build a business built around exactly who you are and not who everybody thinks you should be, then this is the episode for you. So Lily, I am so glad that you're here, and I want to talk about the business that you've built. I know as a transaction coordinator, I guess the first thing we should talk about, like, what does that mean in the world of real estate?
Transaction coordinator, I'd like to find the best analogy. I think we're like the octopus, right? Or the glue to the transaction. So what we usually do is once the investor has a contract signed, the deal is ready to take it to the next level, which is to the closing table. That's where transaction coordinators would come in. So we buy back people's time, investors' time. And so once, most of the investors that I deal with are wholesalers, right? They have their own business, so they're trying to maximize their volume and their time. So what we do is we basically take the contract, we're communicating between the investor, the seller, the title company. Sometimes there's agents involved, sometimes there's attorneys as well that's involved, maybe from the seller side, HOA, different other liens that comes up, right? So different parties that are involved in the transaction. We're the basically the glue, the project management that is facilitating the entire transaction, keeping everyone in sort of like in line to make it to the close. And so this is like a super high level where I'm just like, yep, we're just, monitoring, watching everyone, make sure that title's clean, make sure that we are at the signing table to sign. But I think a lot of it is, Lynn, we've been in transactions before where you see there's so many different nuances in the transaction itself. And then, that's when I have to like tag team different people in the transaction for help, right? Because maybe someone has a very good relationship with the seller. Sometimes it's because the seller doesn't have a phone or internet. And so then we need to get another person involved, whether it's someone from the investor's team, or we might even have to find someone that is like local to the area to come and help to get the document signed. Um, I have two files right now where they've owned the property free and clear, and the title, there's an issue with the title. And it's been years, so then they're like, we don't even when we purchased the property, the title company's gone. They're out of business. Everybody's out of business. The attorney's dead. The title company, they're all gone. And we're like, oh, okay. So we wear like so many different hats in there.
If you have a well-oiled machine, like everybody's good at what they do. So if you have a wholesaler and they're good at acquisitions, they're good at maybe they even have a team that works with them. They've got this deal. If they step over and need to do all of these little things, then there's no more business coming in. So
Right.
it's, you start, stop, and that's the death of any kind of business
Mhm.
if it's not compartmentalized. So what got you into doing TC? How did you find real estate? How did you get into TC? What's that part of the story?
So I was an accountant before being a transaction coordinator. And then I've owned, like I have like long-term rentals too that I purchased traditionally, did that whole thing. But then, so then I had a friend who introduced me to Sub 2, the community. So that's when I'm like, okay, and like I was still an accountant, and they're like, you should look into this. This is really cool. I think you'll be a great transaction coordinator. I think it's just typical, and unfortunately, they're like females, you should be a transaction coordinator. I'm like, okay. And so it was right around, I think, COVID-ish around that time. They had like a massive layoff of just a lot of the jobs after COVID. It was like during COVID, I think they hired a bunch, and then afterward they sort of like reassessed and they're like, I don't think we made the right move hiring so many people working at home and XYZ. So then I was laid off. And then I'm like, all right, let me take a stab at this. I don't really have a choice now. I'm like, I do like real estate, and I'm all for purchasing properties, but I have to figure this out. I'm like, so I watched it, and then I'm like going into the training, trying to figure out what's my avenue, even though again, TC was always in the back of my mind. They're like, you'll be great at this. And I just knew I'm not really like an extrovert. You'll never find me calling anyone, knocking, like sales is not my thing. I did not, selling candies even as like in elementary school, that was not really my thing. I'm like, oh please, somebody just buy this entire box, please. So I was just watching different videos, trying to figure out my calling in a way. And I think for me, transaction coordinator was the one that resonate with me the most. I was an accountant. I was on the revenue side too. So I did deal with a lot of like contracts, commissions on the sales side, and then billing and making sure that it goes through full cycle that we get paid. And so then I was like, okay, this seems similar, just different industry, just have to learn different verbiage here and there. We'll try this out. What I didn't know is that I had to be on the phone a lot, which I was like, man, as an account, I just put it on do not disturb and it just goes right to voicemail. So that was, I think, one of the biggest difference is putting myself out there, being on the phone. And I think one of the other things that a lot of people don't realize is, especially if you're not in a team and you're sort of like starting out by yourself and then building a team, you do have to do a lot of like the sales side, selling yourself. And I think I'm still not that great at selling myself, but then I think at the same time, we try to figure out what's our strength and weaknesses and sort of lean into that. And so mine was always on relationship. I'm not, you'll never find me on stage wooing everybody out there, but I can woo one person at a time. So that's where I'm like, okay, even to grow my business, I'm not, I'm not going to be able to stand on stage and just try to cast a wide nest and like captured everyone. But then I can build that relationship by going to meetups, right? Networking with people individually and then go through that way with the relationship side.
So you have a team that works for you. How do you run your team? What does that look like?
So right now, so my business is more on client basis, more of like a relationship. So I have a handful of investors that has their well-oiled business, right? And so then my team, I just delegate, we have them assigned almost like an account to the investor. So say I'm working with you, Lynn, and you have any file that like any file that you have, I'm working directly with you and those files. So I know how you dance, right? I know exactly what's your expectation, XYZ. That way it just makes things easier. Or like maybe how you guys focus is more on foreclosures. So then that way, at least it's not like we talked about expertise, right? So my team does the same thing. I'll have one girl that is very good at foreclosures and, stopping auctions. That's like her avenue. And so her investors, typically that's what they do. Most of their files. And then I have one where maybe it's just all cash and there's just a lot more of like private lending and whatnot. And so then that's like that's like her wheelhouse. And so it makes it easier, that way you're not juggling because you already know in real estate itself, there's so many different types of transaction, right? You have novation, sometimes you have pure just lending, then you have other ones where auction, like foreclosures, auctions, and it's super last minute. So there's just so many different types of transactions out there. So we try to make sure that we're bringing the best person to handle these types of file, and it's just second nature. It's like they can just close their eyes and they can just do this file without struggling. Like,
And then we're part of a community that has been known in the past and continues to do a lot of subject to transactions. Like you don't want somebody that doesn't know about how to structure that properly and make sure insurance is handled correctly, all the little nuances that you have with that. So they deep dive down on what their specialties are, and I'm sure, yeah, they could do them in, like you said, in their sleep, and like you don't have to worry about them. You train them up for that role, and
right. I had one of my girls, she there's a new client. He approached her. He said, "Hey, I have these deals. I'd love to work with you, XYZ. They just talked a little bit and you can just she had like these spider these little tinglies that like came crawling down her neck because he's saying I'm in the community, this and that. So then we did our due diligence just to make sure, and he's not in the community. But it was just the principle, right? It's just like for us, we work on that because our name's on the line. We were involved in these types of file. And he went out of his way, try to prove that he's in the community. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you right now. So one of the girls actually emailed the support team and was like, hey, can you confirm that this person is in the community? Not that it wouldn't even be an issue. If they're just like, I'm not in the community, not a problem, right? But it was just the principle.
And don't lie.
So it's like, if you're lying to me about this now, I do not want to get involved in a transaction only to find out that you're a shady buyer. And then I'm like basically working with you and my name, my reputation's on the line because of that. So that's the other part too. It's just that's the scary part with with people. And I'm sure you hear a lot about it, even on the lending side, right? Like you hear all these bad characters all of a sudden that just comes out of the woodwork. So it's just like doing our due diligence even with our clients just to make sure it's like I need to like you, trust you, and want to do business with you. Money's great, but we got to have that fundamental first before anything else.
Absolutely. Are you finding that you have implemented any kind of AI or AI agents in your business? Is that helping yet? I know it will, but is it helping? Are you stepping into that space already?
A little bit. I feel like I'm like just scratching the surface.
So my AI knows me really well. It knows my brand, it knows my voice. And so what I do now, I'll take the hard copy or the rough copy and I just
Mhm,
upload it unlisted to YouTube. And then
mhm,
6 hours later, I don't know how long it takes to transcribe. It's whatever time later, I
mhm,
get the transcription, I throw it in my AI. Basically, this would be chat that I'm using this for. And I say, take this hour and a half, bring it down to 40 minutes and tell me what to cut. And
mhm.
it'll legit say, start it at minute 17. It'll say, cut it at this, and then get rid of this like 30 seconds here. It doesn't work, it doesn't matter, whatever. And so but now it's just me doing that. So
Yeah.
if I had a VA, they don't even have to know my voice, right? They
Yeah.
just need to go do what my chat tells them to do. And
Right. You can see so many different things now that it's like I think I'm like a visionary in a way, where I'm like I can see how it could like fix everything. It's just the how do I get there? I'm not really like the most tech savvy person in the world, but even just the little things, right? I literally was able to get it to, I know this sounds so silly, but oftentimes when you close on a file, they send you like a scanned version of all of the signed documents right at close. And there's like 100 pages. And back then it was like, okay, we're just gonna have to like pull them out, extract them one by one. I literally was able to use AI and just have them split it out all within seconds to get it done, and just simple things like that. And it can do so much more. I think we talk about even filling out like an HOA application. So we were able to get AI to just complete the entire application, just giving them some information out there and they can fill it out. Again, this is so I haven't even touched like the AI agents. I need to get into that. And that's one of those things where I'm like these downtimes, I gotta like figure out how to get it done.
I'm the same way. We're just starting to figure out this can take things off my plate, and I believe that it is going to take a lot of jobs too. But one of the things that I have is even doing loan quotes is being
Hmm.
able to take a piece of information, like a one sheet of information for a borrower,
Hmm.
throwing it in my AI and say, match up the best three or four lenders that might work for this. And then
Hmm.
okay, great. Here's the quotes. And this is what this lender charges. This is what my fees are. Like, make me a beautiful PDF.
Yeah.
That's done, right? Or getting the all the documents. If you've got LLC documents and series exhibits and all of the different things. Sometimes I look at 100 pages or 10 pages or 3 pages, and it's a lot to read because I'm a visionary. So focusing on words, sometimes I have to come back 2 or 3 times. But I can have AI go through it, read it.
Hmm.
I don't do the summary thing, but tell me what's right or what it is. Then I can look back at the document and I
Right.
see it with new eyes. It's almost like the cliff notes before I started, and it
Yeah.
makes just going through a lot of detailed things much easier,
Less painful than it would
right?
be. Right. And I think there's still errors, right? And so, but it's just nice to almost like you almost like promote yourself to a manager all of a sudden, right? It's just like, hey, please do all the nuances, things that I don't want to do, and then I'll just double check it and call things out. But it's just nice that way so that you're not sort of like that person that's like skimming through, reading everything, trying to find the discrepancy. You have someone, again, you just promoted yourself as a manager and you're like, well, I just got this person that's doing all the work for me now. I'm just going to check it.
If it's something that's like really important and a little bit more in depth, and it
Hmm.
is a little bit bigger project, I'll run it through 2 or 3 AIs. Some of them think a little bit longer or whatever,
Right.
but then I can see what each one has to say about it. Or even
Exactly.
doing my taxes. Coming in, I need to do my taxes. Like I have all these partnerships. So doing the 1065s by March 15th. Like what? Now I know what they are.
Hmm.
But because in the past it's just like, oh, you just like I feel like we do need really good tax architects,
Hmm.
but people that just like put in the numbers that I've already given them, I feel like their days are numbered.
Yeah.
Like they really need to be a good tax architect if you would like to be a tax accountant for the rest
Hmm.
of your life, because you're not going to be here in 5, 10 years, maybe less. I don't know. Because I didn't know anything about any of this. I was able to do all of them. It helped me write a letter of abatement because I didn't even know that it had to be done, even if I
Yeah.
did. I did one in the end of the year one year, and no money was made. I was getting it all geared up for January 1. Well, they
Hmm.
don't care if I don't make any money. That's due March 15th of, 3 months later. And I'm like a year later, I'll do, oh. So then AI is helping me write letter of abatements to get rid of any fees because the
Yeah.
fines are $220 per partner per month.
Yeah. Yeah.
And who knew? Because I didn't.
Yeah. AI didn't. So you're like,
So AI knew, but it didn't know that I needed it until because so we'd still need guidance and we still need higher level people. But you're right, you become a manager. So just
mhm,
like if you had 10 people that worked for you, AI can be 10 of
one.
those
Yeah.
people.
Hmm.
And then you just have to oversee and make sure it's right. But yeah, I think it's exciting. I think we're in for some exciting stuff coming up. Scary and exciting.
Yes. Yeah.
We were talking earlier before we got online that it's like a kind of a crazy time to live and all, like be alive. But I've thought so much. Every single time in human history has been a tough time to be alive.
I know. I was thinking about like back in the day when they were like on horses, that's how they travel. I'm like, oh my goodness, it takes
I
days
know. Like that
to get
show
anywhere.
1883, I watched that whole series. It was like 10 episodes or whatever, like 3 times because Elsa was like my hero. But I'm
Mhm.
like, that would have stunk because
Yeah.
they're going out west. I could not have just stayed in Boston or New
Yeah.
York. Like I would have been I probably would have been shot with an arrow too. Like there's never been a good time to be alive. So you're
Yeah.
just gonna make the best of what you got.
Yeah.
And so AI, maybe they're going to take over the world. Maybe they're going to, I hear already that they're like, there's chat rooms that AI have where
Mhm.
they're communicating with each other about us. Like that's kind of freaky.
Yeah.
So hopefully they put some guards on them that says don't kill the humans, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But oh
I'm
well,
thinking of
you
like
know?
I, Robot. Remember the movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Terminator. He was
Yeah.
like a robot, right? I mean,
Yeah.
there's all of these sci-fi picture movies from way back when are kind of like. And then there was some movie, Space Odyssey or whatever, with Hal, and then just a lot of crazy stuff. Like who knows where we're headed? But
Yeah.
it's like those. There was a Dickens, wasn't the Dickens movie or a Dickens book of like the best of times, the worst of times. I think you could say that about any time, right? In
Oh, but
history.
the Tale of Two Cities, right? I
Yeah,
think.
I think so. Yeah, yeah, for sure. So. Okay, so that's awesome. Well, I am so excited for what you're doing and what you're building. And are you hiring more people that work with you? Like, how is your business growing? Are you kind of what are you doing for your business?
Right now, honestly, I'm trying to figure out the next thing to go with the business as well too, right? Because we talk about AI, and so then it's like AI is going to take over a lot of our jobs, right? And so it's like, how do we stay ahead of it? And I think part of it too is like having the business in a way where it grows along with the industry at the same time, right? Because I think, and I think people talked about this all the time. Within 3 to 5 years from now, I don't even think TCs are relevant anymore, right? And then it's almost like, how do we then evolve with it? Do we then become operators, right? So like just trying to figure out the next thing for the business that makes sense because we know AI is here. And so a lot of the things that we do now, whether it's, you have AI calling people, they can cold call people, right? They technically can send emails. So it's like staying on top of it, trying to figure out the next step and moving towards it, whether to add it as an addition or almost like pivoting it a little bit towards a different, similar business, but a little bit different, whether it's just like now we're just operators, maybe we're then just TC managers in a way with all these AIs that's just like focusing and doing all the work. So stay tuned. That one, I'm like, I'm still trying to figure this part out.
It's exciting, but yeah, I get it. So, but you're still going to need you because even if AI can think, you still need that human element at the top of even if it's
Right.
just a routine business, because it's yeah, the business isn't going to go away. It's the
Right.
way that you will run it, I
Right.
guess, right, as an operator or whatnot. So, but it's exciting. I don't know. I mean, it's like whatever. We can either ride the wave or hide in the corner and go, what the
Yeah. We'll find out. Yeah.
Well, I guess that's awesome. So if somebody wanted to use your services, how would you want them to reach out to you?
I have a website. It's just, www.compasstcservices.com. And there's a phone number there. There's a submission box that they can just enter in their information there. Someone will reach out.
Awesome. I'll put your information in the show notes also. So if
Okay.
anybody's just listening to it, also the video platforms,
Yeah.
it'll be right below. So, well, I would definitely recommend you and your services because I know I've been trying to get you on my podcast for a while and our lives have we just been super busy and
A
whatever, but
year later, no.
well, I haven't done my podcast for a year yet, so
I know, I
but when
know.
I first started thinking about it, I wanted you on it. And so
Ah.
I did all that procrastinating for a while. So it could have been a year ago. I was starting to think about it. So, but anyway, yeah, I definitely know that you are such an asset to any of the transactions for sure. I know that one particular transaction that we were in on together, I think it was great having you on my team. That's what I'll say.
No, it was great having you on. Yeah, no, you're phenomenal. I don't know what we would have done without you.
All right. Well, thanks so much. And we'll get back together and I don't know, sometime and see how things are going and see how we pivot into AI.
Yes, sounds like a plan. Thanks,
So
Lynn.
thank you. So Lily's contact information is in the show notes right below this video or right on the show notes for the audio. So if you're a real estate investor who wants someone in your corner to make sure that your deals get closed, she is absolutely the one to contact. And remember, a wise woman will profit. So go ahead, buy the field, plant the vineyard, and watch it multiply.